Everyone thinks the same thing. Earn more money, fix the problem, get a raise, find a better job, pick up something on the side, and then, finally, you can breathe. Except here's the thing. I talk to people earning $80,000 a year who feel exactly as stuck as people earning 40. And the ones on 150, a lot of them are one bad month away from their savings account hitting zero. So if it's not the income, what is it? What I'm going to walk you through today isn't generic financial advice. It's not American YouTube content dressed up for an Aussie audience. It's the actual strategy, the one that matches your income level, the one that nobody bothered to explain because it's different for every tier, and most people are using advice built for someone else's situation. Stay till the end, because if you're in the wrong strategy for where you actually are, you're not just standing still. You're moving backwards. Keep this number in your head, 72. 72% of Australians say they've lived paycheck to paycheck at some point in their life. And before you think, yeah, but that's low-income people, no. That number cuts across every income bracket. People on six figures. People with investment properties. 72%. We'll come back to why. Let's start at the bottom and move up. Under $55,000 a year. I call this the survival tier. And I want to be clear about something before we go further. The survival tier isn't just about your income number. It's about anyone whose expenses are eating everything they earn. That could be you on 80 grand in Sydney, just as much as someone on 40 in Wagga. Here's what this actually looks like on the ground. After tax, you're taking home somewhere between $800 and $1,200 a fortnight. Sounds manageable. Then rent takes $600 to $800 of that. And that's not even Sydney. That's most capital cities right now. What's left? Maybe $400 for food, transport, power, your phone, and everything else keeping your life running. Now think about that for a second. Most financial content at this point will say save 20%. 20% of $1,100 is $220. That advice doesn't live in the real world. And it's not just useless, it's demoralizing because you try for a week, fail, and then decide you must be bad with money. You're not bad with money. You're just using someone else's strategy. Here's what actually works. And this is the part that almost never gets said. At this level, your biggest financial move isn't saving. It's removing friction costs. The average Australian has 11 recurring payments: Netflix, Spotify, gym membership, iCloud storage, meal kits, Amazon Prime, the random app you forgot you subscribed to 2 years ago. Add them up. That's often $80 to $120 a month, leaving your account on autopilot. Go through your bank statement tonight. Cancel 3. Not someday, tonight. Then, and this is one most people in this tier completely miss, the government money that already exists for you. Rent assistance, the low-income tax offset, energy concessions, the healthcare card. These aren't charity. They're systems you've paid into and are entitled to use. Most people in this tier leave hundreds, sometimes over $1,000 across the financial year, unclaimed because nobody told them to look. Fix the friction first. Claim what's yours. And then the savings conversation makes sense. Now we move up. 55 to 90,000. This is the pressure tier. And honestly, this is where I see the most financial damage happening right now in Australia. Not the bottom here. You know why? Because you're earning enough that people around you assume you're fine. Your lifestyle has quietly expanded to match your pay rises. Your super contributions feel like future use problem. And there's this background thought, I'll sort it all out when I earn a bit more. That thought is the trap. At this income level, you're taking home somewhere between $44,000 and $68,000 a year after tax. That sounds real. But mortgage or rent, a car, food, bills, and you're back to the same feeling, just with a better car. Here's the data that hits hard. The typical Australian in this bracket has less than $5,000 in accessible savings. Not super, liquid savings. $5,000. One broken transmission, one unexpected medical bill, one redundancy, and you're reaching for the credit card. That's not a bad person problem. That's a structure problem. Nobody built you a buffer. So the first real move here is what I call the boring buffer. Not a share portfolio, not crypto, a high-interest savings account, ING, Ubank, Combank Net Bank Saver, with 3 months of your actual expenses sitting in it. That's it. 3 months. It sounds small, but it changes your entire relationship with money because you stop making decisions from fear. That one thing shifts everything. Now here's where it gets more interesting. At this income level, your super is genuinely one of the most powerful wealth-building tools in the country. And almost everyone in this bracket is treating it like it doesn't exist yet. Voluntary concessional contributions to super are taxed at 15%. If you're sitting in the 32.5% marginal tax bracket, that gap is money you're handing to the government that you don't have to. Even an extra $50 a fortnight on top of your employer's 11.5% SG contribution, run that over 20 years, we're talking an additional $60,000 to $80,000 of retirement. From $50 a fortnight, not from a genius investment, from consistency. Build the buffer. Feed the super machine. That's it for this tier. Simple is underrated 90,000 to 150. The leverage tier. This is where the game actually changes because now you have enough income to make money work for you. But the tax system is also working harder against you. And most people in this bracket don't realize how much they're handing over that they didn't need to. Once you cross 120, you're in the 37% tax bracket. Every dollar above that, you keep 63 cents. 37 goes to the ATO. If you're not structuring things, you're leaving real money on the table every single year. This is the point where a lot of Australians start thinking about investment properties. And here's the honest take, the one that's easy to lose in the noise. Negative gearing still exists. It's not dead, but it's not the automatic win it was 10 years ago. Interest rates have doubled from where they were. Property prices in most capitals are still near record highs. The rental yield on a typical Sydney investment property right now sits somewhere around 2 to 3%, meaning the rent doesn't cover the mortgage. You're banking entirely on capital growth. That's a calculated bet, which is fine if you understand that's what it is. It's not a strategy if you've been told it's guaranteed. What actually works at this tier, and this is what a good accountant should be telling you, not what you read in a Facebook group, is aggressive concessional super contributions. Your concessional cap is $30,000 a year. If you're not close to that, the gap between your marginal rate and the 15% super tax rate is money you're giving away. The math on this is unambiguous. And the second thing that almost nobody does here is micro-investing outside super. Not picking stocks, not timing the market. A simple diversified ETF, something like VS for Australian exposure, VGS for international, set to automatically invest on a bi-weekly basis. You don't watch it. You don't check it every day. You just let dollar cost averaging do what it does over 15 or 20 years. Low fees, no decisions, better outcomes than most active managed funds. That's not an opinion. That's what decades of data shows. But here's the thing that quietly kills people at this income level. Lifestyle creep. The better car after the pay rise. The apartment upgrade. The private school conversations starting to get real. Income goes up, expenses follow faster. And what's wild is the data shows many Australians earning between 100 and 150 have a lower net worth than people earning 80, purely because of the gap between income growth and expense growth. You can earn your way into being broke. This tier is proof. 150 and above. This is where the strategy becomes about structures, not just habits. At this level, your biggest threats aren't spending patterns. They're tax drag and concentration risk. And most people don't think about concentration risk until something breaks. Concentration risk means your wealth is sitting in one company, one property, one asset class. And when that thing moves, you move with it fully. This is how high-income earners lose more money than low-income earners do. Not for bad spending, from overexposure to a single point of failure. The tools that matter here are legal structures that the Australian tax system explicitly allows. Family trusts, company structures, testamentary trusts written into your will. Most people assume these are for the ultra-wealthy. They're not. A family trust, for example, lets you distribute investment or business income to adult family members in lower tax brackets. If you're earning $200,000 and your partner earns $60,000, structuring income correctly can legally save tens of thousands in tax per year. Not a trick, not a gray area, a framework the government built into the system. The problem isn't that people don't want to do this. It's that nobody told them it was available to them yet. And by the time they find out, they've left 5 or 10 years of tax savings behind. Okay, let's stop talking about tiers and talk about you. Where do you actually sit right now? And more importantly, are you using the strategy for your level or someone else's? Because that's the real problem behind that 72% number. Not bad discipline, not bad intentions, just people following advice that was built for a different bracket, a different country, or a different financial moment, and wondering why it's not working. The person earning 40,000 who thinks they just need to save more. The person on 90,000 who's been putting off the super conversation for 3 years. The person on 130 who just bought a negatively geared property they don't fully understand because everyone said to. All 3 of them are stuck for completely different reasons. And all 3 of them needed a different conversation that here's what you actually do. For moves, no fluff. First, know your after-tax number, not your salary. What actually arrives in your account. Every decision you make should come from that number, not the gross figure you tell people at parties. Second, eliminate before you add. Audit your bank statement, every recurring payment, every auto-renewal. Kill the ones you're not actively using. Do this before you think about investing a single dollar. You can't fill a leaking bucket. Third, match your tool to your tax situation. Under 90,000, high-interest savings account and voluntary super contributions come first. Over 90,000, concessional super becomes your most tax-efficient vehicle, and you should be pushing that. Over 150, the structure's conversation with a fee-for-service financial advisor is worth every dollar they charge, because the savings will exceed the cost. And fourth, protect the middle. The biggest financial catastrophe for most Australians isn't a bad investment decision. It's a 3-month income disruption with nothing behind it. Income protection insurance, a real emergency fund, a clear debt hierarchy, high-interest consumer debt first, always. These things are boring. That's why most people skip them. And it's exactly why most people stay stuck. Listen, if there was even one moment in this video where you thought, yeah, that's literally my situation, don't ignore that feeling. That feeling is the signal. It means you're already starting to see what's missing. And that kind of awareness, seriously, most people never develop it their entire life. Now what you do next, that's on you. But if you wanted to keep breaking this stuff down like this, no fluff, just real numbers, then stick around. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if there's a specific income situation you wanted to go deep on, drop it in the comments. I actually read them. All right, I'll see you in the next video.